open your backpack looking for your headphones and find instead a half-empty water bottle, a set of keys, an uncapped pen, a beat-up notebook, a crumpled plastic bag, and a phone charger tangled somewhere in the corner. Ordinary stuff. Things you barely look at when you toss them in and barely look at when you pull them out. They're there because you need them for something specific. And once that something is done, they disappear from your awareness until next time. But here's a question worth sitting with. If today stopped going the way you planned, what could you actually do with what you're carrying right now? Not a movie emergency. Real, close-to-home situations. A power outage at the office. Getting stuck on the subway for half an hour. Getting caught in a downpour without an umbrella. Getting turned around in an unfamiliar neighborhood with your phone at 5% battery. Needing to leave an urgent note with no signal. Fixing something that broke at the worst possible moment. None of these require special gear. They just require looking at what you already have in a different way. The difference between someone who improvises well and someone who freezes up isn't always what they're carrying. Sometimes it's how they think about what they're carrying. Let's start with the water bottle. Almost everyone has one. The obvious use is staying hydrated. But a bottle with some water in it can also rinse a minor wound when you have nothing else available, because flushing with clean water is still one of the first steps for a small cut when there's no antiseptic nearby. It can be used to roughly measure amounts if you need to divide something, to carry water from a faucet when you're far from one, or even to make noise by hitting it against a surface if you need to get someone's attention. It's not a medical kit, and it's not a permanent fix, but in the right context, that bottle is worth more than it looks. Keys are another interesting example. We carry them as access tools to open doors, but the shape of a key also lets you scrape surfaces, mark materials, apply simple leverage in basic situations, or make noise when you need to get someone's attention without shouting. In urban settings where you want to feel more alert walking at night, having your keys already in your hand is a conscious physical decision. They don't replace any real security measure, but they change the feeling of being more prepared. A pen or pencil tends to get ignored until you desperately need one, and when you need one, you're searching everywhere. Writing a phone number on your hand because your phone won't turn on. Leaving a note on someone's door when they're not home. Jotting down an address, marking a spot on a printed map, even pressing the reset button on a small device with a hole too narrow for your finger. The pen is the most underestimated object in the bag, and the one you miss the most when it's gone. Paper or a notebook works in a similar way. It's a writing surface, obviously, but it also works for wrapping something fragile inside your bag so it doesn't break. Improvising a wedge under a wobbly table or chair, or leaving visible signals when you need to mark a location or communicate something without technology. Yes, paper can be used to start a fire, but only in safe, controlled, appropriate conditions and not in just any situation. The core function is what matters. Paper carries information and can protect objects. That alone is more useful than most people give it credit for. A handkerchief, an old scarf, or an extra shirt in your bag are textile items with a lot of flexibility. They can shield your head from the sun, provide very basic dust filtration in heavily polluted environments, protect your hand when grabbing something hot, serve as a temporary measure to apply pressure on a minor cut while you wait for medical attention, clean a surface, tie something together temporarily, or simply help retain body heat during an unexpected wait. A handkerchief doesn't replace actual medical supplies, but in the first few minutes of an unplanned situation, having something to apply pressure to a wound can make a real difference, while real help is on the way. Headphone cords, shoelaces, or any longer cable in your bag are useful for tying and securing things. It sounds trivial, but it comes in handy when you need something to stay in place, not move, or hold its position for a while. The key is not to push them past their actual strength. A cable won't hold real weight. A shoelace isn't a rope. The limit is understanding what they can do and what they can't, then working within that. A plastic bag, in terms of usefulness per size, is one of the most efficient things you can have in your bag. It protects documents, clothing, or electronics from rain in seconds. It can separate dirty items from everything else. It can carry something wet without contaminating the rest of your bag. If you're dealing with mud, cold, or dampness, wrapping a plastic bag around your feet inside your shoes can delay the soaking for a meaningful amount of time. It can also hold trash in a space where there's nowhere to leave it. It weighs almost nothing, fits in any pocket, and solves real problems with zero effort. If you have tape in your bag, it's probably the most versatile tool of all. It repairs, seals, reinforces, joins, covers, labels, and improvises. A sole starting to peel off midday. A cable that broke and needs temporary support. A bag with a small hole. A bandage that won't stay on. A note you need to stick to a door. A sleeve that tore. Tape is the resource that can solve the widest variety of situations with the same basic solution, always within its obvious physical limits. A portable charger completely changes what your phone is worth in an emergency. A phone with battery is a flashlight, a map, a way to reach someone, a camera, a notepad, an alarm, and a source of information. A phone with no battery is dead weight. The difference between the two is one extra charge. That's not a luxury. In situations involving urban disruption, loss of communication, or disorientation, a phone with battery can be the most important tool you have. Which leads to a core idea. Your phone shouldn't be seen only as entertainment or social communication. In everyday survival mode, it's the most sophisticated multi-tool that exists. The flashlight for power outages. The offline map if you downloaded the area before you left. The emergency contact. The photo of an important document you saved as a backup. The alarm that tells you when to leave. The camera that records something when you need visual proof of a situation. Knowing how to use those functions when you need them requires thinking about them beforehand, not in the middle of a panic. All of this connects to an idea worth planting clearly in your mind. Improvising well doesn't mean doing anything you can think of with whatever's nearby. Improvising well means recognizing the basic function of an object and applying it in a different context, always within its real capabilities. A plastic bag isn't an umbrella, but it protects documents. A handkerchief isn't a sterile bandage, but it can apply pressure until help arrives. A cable isn't a rope, but it can hold something light for as long as needed. Every time we mistake a temporary fix for a permanent solution, we take on unnecessary risk. Good judgment matters as much as the resource itself. How you organize your bag also matters. It's not about carrying more. It's about knowing more. A well-thought-out bag isn't the heaviest or the most loaded one. It's the one with objects you actually use, arranged in a way that lets you find them when you need them. Pockets with clear purposes. Objects that don't get buried in the chaos. Nothing sitting there without a reason. That kind of organization is, by itself, a form of preparation. The next time you take stock of what you're carrying, it's worth doing it with a different perspective. Not with anxiety, not looking for problems where there aren't any. Just with the curiosity of someone who knows that days don't always go as planned, and that the difference between reacting well and freezing up often isn't what you have, but what you understand about what you have. A regular backpack, seen with clear eyes and good judgment, isn't just a bag full of loose objects. It's a small system of real possibilities, ready to be used.